United States Navy and Marine Corps since the 1970s as well. I want you to join with me as we wait for these aircraft to approach. They have been flying missions all over the country, supporting the work done by so many during this COVID crisis.
Tony's face is visible. It's okay? Okay?
The Blue Angels exemplify the Navy values of honor, courage, and commitment. And the Thunderbirds serve to represent all the men and women of the United States Air Force as our ambassadors in blue. Ladies and gentlemen, the Thunderbirds and the Blue Angels.
Watch the smoke.
Yeah.
No, watch the smoke.
They're going to do something, right? Like an exhibition?
Yeah. You got to take the formation.
Put your hands together for the Blues and the Birds.
You think that this would be the last?
The Presidents of the United States Marine Band and the Navy Sea Genters will now perform a special selection in honor of our nation's birthday, America the Beautiful.
Like we already said, that's the band, called band, the Navy band.
Yeah, the Navy band.
Yeah.
From the sea your attention to the White House.
It's the best.
Listen,
Ladies and gentlemen, please join us in the
I'm
singing
crying.
of God Bless America.
yeah, we stole it.
So that's the national
Yeah,
anthem.
the other one.
What is
I don't know. We have a bunch of songs. Real short songs.
where's the kid?
I don't know. She's not very good. Before she was like sitting down texting with the plane was flying over.
That
Ivana. Terrible salute. He was never in the military.
yeah, that's right. Oh, I really totally like that Richie Brown that is part of the
Oh, she's like the president's wife.
No, the president, if you're the president of the president, it's just like, you got that one.
Yeah, Ivana used to be a very famous model. Like Romanian, Polish, or something model. Hold my hands. When you used to hold my hand.
I don't know where are they?
It's the red and yellow hand.
Right behind and in front.
All this, most of this is modern music from a composer called John Philip Sousa, and I think he was like around the turn of the century, 19th century. This music.
So President Trump and the First Lady retired to the White House to enjoy what is left of this Independence Day
Ivana probably has a
of July weekend after a spectacular and spine-tingling, at least for this pilot and reporter,
Call of Nature.
display of 80 years of American air
got the
power.
sunglasses on.
America's salute to America, put on by the White House,
What?
comes to a close. If you wonder how much all of this costs, well, according to the Pentagon, not that much. The planes that you saw flying overhead are flown by air crews who need
Secret Service
training
works for the
time to
Treasury
maintain their
Department.
currency and the various branches of the service were able to work it so that
Because
the
they do
pilots
two
who are
things.
flying
They
today
protect the
were
president
basically
and
doing their training
the, you know, the
as
mainstream
part of this
politicians.
salute to
And they
America.
also
Mark
work
Meredith
for churches
is at the White House and had a ground view of all of this excitement. Mark.
John, it was an amazing sight to see, as you can imagine, for also watching at home as we saw those military aircraft from several different generations fly over not only the White House, but also the National Mall. I mean, it can be spotted all over Washington, D.C. We started out with the presidential aircraft, that 747 that's commonly referred to as Air Force One with the president's on it. Seeing it do that low pass here over the White House was quite a sight to see. I know you're an aviation geek. I am one as well. And it was, of course, followed by that incredible different sight of military aircraft that spanned so many different generations. We saw aircraft from the Vietnam War, the Korean War, the Gulf War, and the crowd that was gathered here at the White House really just seemed to be in awe of the moment. People staying very quiet, cheering as those aircraft would go overhead, and President Trump himself with the First Lady kind of just staring up into the sky as those aircraft would make their way. This is also, of course, very similar to what we saw happen last year with the first speech in America. The difference being the president decided to do it here at the White House as opposed to the Lincoln Memorial.
They said
Here at
they're
the
at the
White House,
mall.
we did see a couple of hundred guests show
Yeah,
up here
that's
to be
the
invited
kind
to
of
watch
the,
the
they call it the
festivities
mall,
themselves.
it's the
Of
part
course, the
outside of
fireworks
the White
are still
House.
coming up, John. That's going to be
You can go there.
45 minutes from now.
Yeah.
And so what was interesting, though, was that the
For the,
president also
you
took
have
the time
the
for the July
Washington
to hit on so
Memorial,
many
the
different
obelisk,
topics that have been
and
close
then
to
on
his
the other
mind,
side
something
is
he
the
brings up
Lincoln
quite
Memorial,
often,
in
and whether it
between
be
is
campaign
that
events or when he's
that
late in the South
pool,
one.
the
But
water.
on this 4th of July, I thought it was very interesting. The president talked about the coronavirus pandemic that, of course, continues to rattle
It's
this
a pool,
country.
you
The
can't go
president
in.
saying that there is progress being made, not only when it comes to testing, but also
And then they have, and then the White House is on the
production
other side,
and how the
which
U.S. has
fenced off
been able to kind of change course in the last couple of months. The president, though, also taking aim
You can't
at
go
what
to
he
White
is seen as
You
left
can go on a White House tour,
he feels
but you
are
have
trying
to
erase
write to your
the president,
senator,
not
and then
mincing words,
you,
even with
you
the
get
media
approved
saying that he
by the
felt
senator, and then they do a background
the
check,
country.
and then they
Of course, the critics would argue
You
that
do
it's the
take
president
it
that feels
off
that
and
way,
take it.
and not necessarily the rest of the country. We should see whether or not there's
Yeah.
any pushback for the president using the 4th of July
It takes about
to
3 days.
discuss some of his views on that.
Yeah.
Also, the president talked about American heroes.
Not
He
a tour.
executive
Not a tour.
order just yesterday that would create this garden of American heroes. This is an
One time.
area where statues would be honoring people like Amelia Earhart, Benjamin Franklin, George Washington, Martin Luther King Jr. He says he wants this created between now and 2026. He's got a chance to really honor those that he feels have made a significant impact on American history. It'll be interesting to also see the reaction from
But
Congress.
there's,
not just
there's
what
like the
happened
3
yesterday,
huge
and it's still
museums
the works of
there, and all the
presidents,
mines,
and they're
and
still trying to come up with
all that.
how that is going to work. As though we talked about, the president also wanted to make clear that he still believes America is getting stronger every day from the
White House
pandemic.
is,
We heard that from the
is very, very old. It's made out of wood. If someone went in there, they could even set a fire and burn it
not
down.
only to today, but for the last several months, people have been really trying to do all they can to show their American pride, their American spirit, and how strong this country is. The president once again
Terrible
pointed to that he
building, but
believes
it's
the
not
U.S.
a-
remains the greatest country on
It's
earth,
just, it's
and
a
that our
residence,
symbol
but
of
it's
freedom and
also,
our symbol of honor
you know,
and
the,
tradition certainly would be
the nation's
remembered not only now,
Capitol
but for
building
generations to come
where,
past the president.
you know, the
John,
president's
again, as
offices
an aircraft
and
guy, I know you would
everything
have
else
loved
is
seeing
there.
this. It was incredible to see it
People
on the
work
ground
there.
on the south line of the White House. John?
What a spectacular experience. And I think our viewers might wonder who the folks were who were
Yes,
lucky
the
enough to be
swimming
there
pool,
on the White House
riverside,
lawn
bowling
to
alley,
watch this along with the president.
all
Mark,
this stuff.
who got invited?
Sure, so John, we have the VIP, so I saw, for instance, VA Secretary Robert Hill came, we saw members of the President's Coronavirus Task Force, but there was also the frontline workers, those men and women that are doctors and nurses, first responders, people that have been helping this country now, really forever, but now even more than ever because of the coronavirus pandemic. It was hot out here, John. It was like 88 degrees. I
You gotta have a black guy
all
saying
the time. It was
that's
brutal
because
hot,
of
but people stayed
politics.
through the heat. They had
Because of
passing
the
out sodas, trying to
Black
make the
Lives
most of
Matter
it.
movement.
But the grand finale, of course, the fireworks, John, they'll be happening a little bit time from now. John?
Yeah, well, we forgive you for taking out the time. You got to be comfortable on a day like this. Mark Meredith at the White House. Mark, thank you.
You bet.
Well, let's bring in Joey Jones, former Marine Corps bomb technician and a Fox News contributor, and Colonel Scott Kane, former vice commander of the 9th Air Force and a former fighter pilot as well. Colonel Kane, your thoughts on that aerial flyover? Spectacular images that we just got to see.
No, it's not.
And
It
they,
certainly is an aviator that flew for less than 30 years.
You
And
know, the
I
same.
sure enjoyed
Yeah.
watching
Oh, yeah.
all those great airplanes fly. I wish I was young enough to jump back in one and pilot one across the skies like they did. But what really struck me as I think back on my 30 years in the Air Force, having served all over the world, is when the president talked about how our Declaration of Independence created this nation as a free nation. What struck me was that our Independence Day really marks Independence Day for the rest of the world, because we've been the leader across the planet that has brought freedom and liberty to all the other nations that have adopted similar forms of government. And so, as I traveled the world, I saw great people that looked up to the United States of America. They looked up to obviously our air power. They looked up to us as leaders, and the president highlighted how the founding fathers set up a system of government that is the leader across the world and promotes liberty to everybody. And that's what I think about today on Independence Day.
When I was in Virginia, we sponsored the air show. We set
I
it up.
know that
They have
you were
air
an
shows.
A-10 Warthog pilot in the Air Force,
Travel all
and
over
they
the
didn't
US.
feature any
We
A-10s in
sponsored
this
it.
flyover today. Are you writing a letter of complaint?
that one.
Well,
It's like a
just
Filipino.
because they didn't, they talked about the bullet.
No,
So that's the
because
bullet from the A-10. Just wanted the audience to see something.
That's that bullet from the A-10 plane, yeah.
Yeah, that is an amazing aircraft and very much loved by the ground troops like Johnny Joey Jones.
They used
Johnny,
to
you
do,
know, this is,
called
we've seen over the last month or two these violent protests, these attempts, and in some cases successful operations to tear down statues in this country. The president seemed to fire right back with an executive order that he issued yesterday. I want you to hear him talk about it, and then I'll get your reaction. Here's the president.
Army. Because there was
Yesterday, I signed an executive order to create a brand new monument to our most beloved icons. The National Garden
not really
of American Heroes will be a vast
open their house.
outdoor park that will feature the statues of the greatest Americans who have ever lived.
He applied.
We will honor extraordinary citizens
for the U.S.
from every community and from every place and from every
It's not,
part.
it's
Of
not
our nation.
for immigrants.
What is it?
It's open up
So
for
Johnny, the president,
Yeah, I just
critics have
don't
been
know the
trying to tear down,
the
and in some
real
cases
term for
succeed
that.
at tearing down some of the statues of notable Americans. The
they
president
will
said
hire
we're going to put up
X amount
a
of
sculptured garden, a garden of national heroes,
Filipinos.
featuring people
And they
like
have to,
soldiers like George
because it's
Washington,
part of that
George Patton, but also
1954 military
Harriet
attack
Tubman,
with-
Benjamin
with
Franklin. Just
the
any,
Philippines
great
that
American
McCarty
in
says,
history
oh, it
books.
doesn't apply anymore.
What are your
But you can't
thoughts when
say
you hear
that.
that announcement?
It would have to be full.
I think this is
But they
absolutely
were-
brilliant.
but
You know, I've
he's,
said on this channel a few times now, you don't build tomorrow by going back and tearing down yesterday. What's done is done, and we've memorialized some of
But
it
it's
to not
not
forget it.
really
But the
here.
idea that we can go and
It's
build
not
new
hard
things
for
together.
people
If you felt left out on some of those
Was he a
monuments that are in DC now,
President?
the idea that you can be a
Citizen
part
or
of what we build in the future.
I don't
That's
know.
what this
He's
country is all
saying
about.
that for
It's not that
sure.
we get up every day and
Oh,
get it right. It's that we get up every day and we try to get it right. We try to make tomorrow better for my kids and their kids and your kids. And that's exactly the signal that President Trump is sending with this. And I think it's a brilliant move. And I would challenge all of those people, if you're spoiled brats or anarchists or honest brokers that have wanted to tear down monuments, I challenge you to be a part of this conversation and to help us build tomorrow and build the monuments for people that deserve to be memorialized for what they've contributed. And on the topic of that A-10, that's a favorite of mine as well. So VTech, I had to learn how to take it apart to get to those munitions. So the Gal was an impressive gun, and that's an impressive plane.
Yeah, the Warthog is a thing of beauty, that's for sure. The president touched on a little bit of everything in this speech, from the anarchists and the rioters. He denounced the Antifa members and the left-wing mob who have been causing so much trouble in this country. He also, touched on the coronavirus efforts and those who want to tear down memorials in this country. It was a wide-ranging speech, but Colonel, he also talked about getting Americans to set foot on Mars, and he promised that Americans are going to be the ones to do it. It's
an interesting goal, and some people shake their heads and say, "Well, we'll never make that." But a lot of people said the same thing when John Kennedy said we're going to go to the moon.
Well, absolutely. I believe in the American spirit, the ingenuity of Americans, and that's what sets us apart. I would say it sets us apart from the totalitarian kind of countries, the socialist kind of countries that don't have a population of people trying to always succeed in finding solutions to things. So I think the president is right. The spirit of Americans is that we're gonna solve that problem. We're gonna get there, and I wouldn't be surprised if